Borage and Burs. Daylight suddenly dimmed, and the wind picked up as storm clouds filled the sky. Shanley knew they didn't have long before the rain hit. They started walking back towards the forest. Along the way, Caitlin spied a pretty purple flower and bent over to inspect it. "What family is this?" she asked, unaware that she brushed her behind through a dead stalk full of burrs. "That flower," Shanley said, "is the same one that just grabbed you from behind." Caitlin stood up and picked the burrs out of her clothing. "Hound's tongue, or Beged's tick, is a member of the Borage family," Shanley said. She gently tugged on the flower petals, and they all came out together. The 5 petals were fused together into a little tube. "There are a lot of plant families with 5-petaled flowers," Shanley said, as she cut the circle of petals open and spread it flat. "But see how the stamens are fused to the petals?" "Neat," Caitlin said. "Is that the distinguishing characteristic of the Borage family?" "It's one good clue," Shanley said, "but not the only one." "This flower has evolved a lot compared to buttercups," Peter said. "And look, the pistil has one style and one stigma like the nightshades. I wonder how many carpels it has." "The key to identifying the Borage family is this." Shanley directed the children's attention to the pistil and the 4 little green dots at its base. "Flowers in the Borage family have 5 petals fused together and a 4-chambered pistil that produces 4 nutlets, just like the burrs that stuck on your bottom, Caitlin." "4 chambers?" Peter queried. "Don't you mean 4 carpels?" "Actually, Peter, there are only 2 carpels, but there are false partitions inside each carpel, creating 4 chambers, each containing 1 nutlet," Shanley said. "Just when you think you've got it all figured out," Peter trailed off. "Do all members of the Borage family have burrs?" Caitlin asked. "Hound's tongue, forget-me-nots, catchfly, and a few others have burrs. Well, most borage plants, such as bluebells, comfrey, and borage, have hard, smooth seeds. This plant over here, called stone seed, starts with 4 nutlets, but aborts 3, maturing only 1 hard, white seed that looks like a little tooth." "That's neat," Adelia said. "There are about 2,000 species in the core Borage family," Shanley continued. "Most are covered with fine hairs and not very edible. But there are some nice medicinal plants, like this comfrey. The plant contains allantoin, which helps speed healing when applied to a wound." A bolt of lightning struck a nearby hill. Rain sprinkled down. Shanley and the kids entered the forest, looking for cover. Clay flowers. Shanley and her great-great-great-grandchildren sat under the protective arm of a large spruce tree near a fossilized chunk of the great tree. It isn't safe to sit under a lone tree in a lightning storm, but they knew it was okay to shelter under a tree within a forest. Overhead, the sky cracked and boomed with lightning and thunder, spitting and then pouring rain. Shanley and the kids were thankful for dry shelter and marveled at the storm, yet slowly the kids began to grow restless. Shanley pulled some colored clay from her bag and sculpted an intricate flower with 5 green sepals, 7 yellow petals, numerous stamens, and a cone of numerous pistils. "That's my buttercup!" Peter exclaimed. "Yes," Shanley said. "Now look." She removed the extra petals and squished the pistil partly together in the center. "Now what is it?" "It's a rose," Adelia said. Shanley removed all but 5 pistils and squished them together up to the stigma. She molded the stamens up into the column around the pistil. "It's a mallow!" Caitlin exclaimed. "Good," Shanley said. She removed all but 5 stamens and all but 1 stigma, then molded the petals to each other and the stamens into the petals. "It's a borage," Adelia said. Finally, Shanley pulled the base of the flower down, split the stigma to make a little bug-like antenna, and molded the 5 stamens in around that. She sharpened the 5-petal lobes and cut the sepals into fine hairs. "What is it?" Caitlin asked. "This is a disc flower from an aster," Shanley said. "One tiny flower specialized to produce 1 seed." "But it has 2 stigmas," Caitlin noted. "That's right," Shanley said. "There are 2 carpels, but 1 is aborted, so the flower produces only 1 seed." "So mallows evolved into borage and borage evolved into asters?" Peter queried. "No, Peter. The ancestors of our modern plants went extinct long ago. None of our living species gave rise to any other, but we can see primitive characteristics in some families and see how far other families have departed from that over time. That's amazing, said Caitlin, as the remaining daylight faded. Shanleyas demonstrated a similar sequence with the monocots, starting with the buttercup-like arrowhead flower, which transformed first into a lily, then into an iris, and finally an orchid. None of these flowers are done evolving, are they, grandmother? Suggested Adelia. That's right, Shanleyas said. The present moment is like a snapshot of continuing evolution. As flowers continue to evolve, specialize, and increasingly fuse the flower parts together into more complex forms. It was nearly dark, and the kids were tired. Peter was already nodding off where he sat, leaning against the tree. He closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep. The lightning and thunder jolted Peter awake. He sat bolt upright in his own bed in the comfort of grandmother's house, and it was a bright sunny morning. He sat there in bed for a while, remembering everything he could from his strange experience. Finally, he wandered out to the kitchen where Caitlin and Adelia were already having tea with grandmother. I had the strangest dream last night, Peter said. It was so real. I dreamed we were on an adventure with great-great-great-grandmother Shanleyas at the fallen tree. Caitlin and Adelia just laughed because they each had the same dream. Grandmother smiled with a mischievous sparkle in her eyes, then asked the kids, "What do you want to do today?" "Can we make marshmallows?" Peter asked. "Do you know the recipe?" Adelia asked. "Sure," grandmother replied, "but first we'll need marshmallow or hollyhock roots." And the kids ran outside to play in the yard and see what they could find.